Today's video is all about how to use new products from Altenew's October 2023 release, Hibiscus Motif. We're playing with stamps, stencils, and dies to create a beautiful Art Deco card. Stay tuned! This video is part of the Altenew Educators Anything Goes video hop. There are a lot of beautiful projects and tons of great tips, and there are even prizes too. So be sure to visit all of the stops. There's a full list, plus all the hop information down in the description. Hello, this is Terry Duncan with Cut, Color, and Create. Thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited about the project that we're going to work on today. I've got this new product from Altenew called the Hibiscus Motif, and it's got a stamp with the set. You can also get a stencil and the die set that coordinates with it. And I think we're going to use all three of those today. And what I'm particularly excited about is that my two favorite periods are Nouveau and Art Deco, and there's kind of a combination of that in this set. Of course, the images are Art Nouveau, but the text is a little more like Art Deco, so I'm really excited about using those. And I'm going to use a classic color scheme for the card we're going to make. I'm going to make a 5x7 card because I want to be able to put these pretty corners in all four corners. The cardstock that I've got ready is, of course, I've got a 5x7 card base made from Neenah Classic Crest Solar White. This is 110 pounds. Then I've also cut a 5x7 piece of cardstock. This is Spellbinder's Partly Cloudy. And the base, if you will, color is going to be this blue that has a lot of gray in it. And then I do have my stamp wheel here because we're going to be using that quite a bit today. So for the colors, I thought we would use a set of greens with maybe some red ink for the corners. So I've got 3 of my fresh dye inks, Silver Sage, Jade, and Eucalyptus. Then I do have a yellow here. I've picked out Sunray, and that's going to be for, I think that's Stamen. And then for the flower, I've got 3 pinks chosen: Frosty Pink, Dusty Pink, and Ruby Red. And then, of course, I've got my mini brushes here, and I've got a couple of large ones because I think we're going to be doing some blending. I also have my favorite for sentiments, Obsidian Pigment Ink, and then I've got a waterproof black for our stamping. And I've just recently fallen in love with adhesives from Altenew. If you've never tried any of them, I strongly recommend them because every single one of them that I've tried is awesome. I'm going to be using their glue runner today, but that comes later. So let's get started. So the first thing I think we'll do is do some stamping. And so I'm going to get my stamp wheel already, get some of these things out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to place my stamp on here, and I'm going to try and place it so that I could actually get 2 stampings from one placement so that I can make more than one card. And I'll just pick that up with my wheel and make my stamp up real good. Beautiful, delicate stamp. Delicate lines. Make sure I get it in the right place. And I'm going to stamp that again. That's better, but I'm going to see if I can't get a little better. I'm going to put a little more ink on there. There. Now I'm just going to turn that piece of cardstock over and see if I can't stamp. May not be able to. But I'm not going to hold it down so that it touches. No, that's not going to work. Okay. So now I think I'll leave the cardstock in there, clean my stamp off. Now I need 4 corners. And this time I think I will place it where I can do them all on the same piece of cardstock. Stuck down to the sticky mat. And then I'm going to put one there and one, get it right side down, and one there. Okay, and I'm going to ink this with ruby red. It's kind of an experiment, so we'll see how it goes. Beautiful. Now I'm just going to do a double stamping to make sure that all the lines are nice and crisp. I'm not pressing too hard so that it doesn't smush the stamp on it. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to turn that around. And get my other 2 corners. Such a pretty design. Okay. Now I'm just going to clean that stamp off real quick. I'm just going to move my wheel aside because I'm going to do some blending here. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this silver sage and I'm just going to lightly blend it over the whole cardstock. I think I'm going to move this up into the center of the I think what I'll do is clean my brush just to make sure I don't have anything darker or brighter on my brush. Looks like it's in, oh, it looks like that was a good idea. And so I'm going to get plenty of ink on, dab it off on my paper towel, and then I'm just going to give it a light blending. Right now you can't even see it on the cardstock. Maybe we'll go with yeah, I think I'm going to go with jade because that isn't as dark as what I would like for it to be. And I think I'm going to take this off. Now I've got a smaller brush that I'm going to go in and add some a little more color. In fact, I think I like that color better. So I'm just giving, right now I'm just giving the whole image kind of a wash with the color. And I'm pleased that it's not making the ink too brown by mixing the red and the green. And I'm going to do that with all four corners. Okay, now I am going to go with the eucalyptus, which is a shade darker. And I'm just going to blend the outside edges of that. I'll start in the corner just to get a feel for how dark it's going to be. Yeah, that's perfect. And just blend that out to the edges. See, I'm wanting to leave some lighter places along here. And make the edges look like they kind of fade back. I'm going to do that for all 4 corners also. Okay, now I think I'm going to quit with that for these, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut these pieces out with my coordinating dies. And I'm going to do that off camera. The next thing that we're going to do is our stenciling on our flower. Okay. So I'm going to put my pretty little flower on there. And one of the wonderful things about Altenew is that they always give you a guide to follow. I've got the guide buried here, but this is actually what they give you. I'm going to start and I'm going to get that placed just right. Excuse my head. Now, what I want to do is they have you using the same color all the way up. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little yellow down through the center. Then I'll use the frosty pink. So I've got my Sunray, and I'm just going to use my mini blender. I'm going to tap it off on the stencil so that I don't get too awfully much on there. And like I said, I'm just going to take this down to about there. And then I'm going to switch over to frosty pink. And I've got I'm going to clean off my brush. It looks good. And then I'm going to tap off, and then I'm going to start so my plan is to have it darkest on the edges and then go to very light in the centers. And I'm going to make this a little bit darker too. And I'm using the same color on all of this. I'm just varying how much I put down and how heavy a hand I use on it. I'm just going to add a little color in there. And I think that looks good for that layer. So I'm going to peel that up. Stuck down pretty good. And I'm going to do this here. So this is the first layer. And I'm going to use jade for that. Now I'm going to make this a little bit darker up here. And a little bit lighter at the tips. There we go. And then the last layer. We'll use eucalyptus. Ooh, very, very pretty. Okay, so now we're going to go back to stamping. And I'm just going to leave my image right in my wheel. And my stamp back here. I'm looking at the guide, A1, B1, C1. So they are labeled. This is A1. And again, excuse me for getting my head down in view. I'm going to get that lined up real well. And C1 goes on this side. And then B1 is this one. And I'm going to do that after I get these done. So we'll pick this up. And I am going to do this with Dusty Pink. That is beautiful, but I think I goofed and I did not condition my stamps. So I am going to do that now, as it looks like the ink pooled, and it doesn't look bad, but it's not the way it's supposed to look. So we'll see if this isn't better. There. Yeah, that's better. Now I'll clean that off. And I'm gonna place this. This is B1. Excuse my head. Okay. And this one I am going to remember to condition. And I'm going to use Dusty Pink for it also. Oh, isn't that pretty? I think I'll stop it there. You know, I think I missed one thing. There is this stamp that is made to color all these little things. I don't know what they're called. So I'm going to use Sunray. And then I'm going to just touch it with the pink at the bottom. Yeah, that works. Now, I think we're ready to die cut. Beautiful. Okay, so here's what my thinking is, that we'll do something like this. I think I want that up there. And I'm just using the same piece of cardstock that I had used before. And pick that up. Now I'm going to put some anti-static powder down. And I'm going to ink up my stamp. And I think I'm going to stamp this one twice also, because it's a brand new stamp. And then I am going to use black embossing powder. Let it sit on there for a minute. Looks perfect. And so I'm going to heat up my tool for 40 seconds and then melt the embossing powder until it's smooth. There we go. Let's go ahead and finish this. I like to line up with this plastic protector thing. Okay, so what I'm toying with is just creating an 1/8 inch border. I see my cut. I'm going to have to trim that because that is not well cut. So I'm going to trim 1/8 of an inch off of all 4 edges. Okay, so I've trimmed that down, and I am going to use my tape runner . I'm going to stand up over this to get it centered. Actually, I think I'm going to turn it on the side to try and to give myself a better chance of getting it centered. There we go. Now, I'm thinking that's what that's going to look like. So I'm just going to use dimensional foam tape, and I'm just going to trim pieces off and pop all those little pieces up. So I am just going to speed this up, turn on some music, and hopefully you'll enjoy. Okay, so as you could see, I ended up using a T-square to align my corners. You're going to want to do that if you're doing a similar design. Now, I have decided, instead of putting foam tape on the back of this, because there's little delicate pieces, I'm going to use this die and cut 3 of them out and layer them up with liquid glue. So I'm just going to do that off camera and I'll be back in a minute. Now, I am just going to put a little bit of weight on top of that just to let the glue set up for a second. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape on the back of my sentiment. Like I told you, I just recently have fallen in love with all of, and I mean all of Altenew's adhesives. I don't know why I waited so long, but this dimensional tape is wonderful. Okay, so let's see how this goes. So I'm going to add this also with liquid glue. And I had it placed where it was kind of in the upper 2/3. And I'm just going to use my reverse tweezers to hold that while I'm adding the glue. And that makes it easier to place it when you're getting ready to fasten it to the front. Now, when I was layering these together, I didn't do this, but because I'm getting ready to place it on my card, I'm going to smooth the glue over these delicate edges to make sure a glob of glue doesn't come out. Now, that's usually not an issue, but I just wanted to make sure. And I'm looking at this spot here and these spots, trying to get them in, a good distance apart from each other. And I think that is about perfect. So I'm going to put my weight back down on top of that. Let that set up. And then I'm just going to put my thank you right over and I'm going to wait and see what that looks like. Okay, now all I have left to do is decide where I'm going to put my sentiment. Do I put it down here? I think I like it right there. So try to get it centered and straight. Just going to look over the top of this. And there we have our beautiful hibiscus motif card. Isn't it gorgeous? I just love it. Keep an eye out on my blog because I'm going to be making more with this set. I hope you enjoyed this with me. If you did, click on the subscribe button down below and click on the bell if you want to be notified for any of my videos. I'll have all the supplies listed down below, and thank you for joining me. Bye for now.